I love how Zoom does that now. So welcome. This is our high frequency zone, the concept of the money, love, and sex revolution, evolution, and staying ahead of the dizzying pace of change and making sure that you're prepared, sort of activated and aligned for what's coming down the pike. So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about what we're seeing coming down the pike, talk about some steps that we move people through to be prepared for that. And then I really want to drill down into one step and see how we can have you play with your money, love, and sex categories using this one step. So it's a little bit activation, a little bit training, a little bit of rock and roll, all the whole 9 yards. So my friends, as you know, unprecedented time in history. All you got to do is look at one headline or another, and hopefully you are not caught in the COVID bounce or the vaccination bounce. I think it's fabulous that we can all take our masks off and see each other and smile at each other. And I think, you know, if you're here or listening to this, I think you know that this is just the beginning. So we had our world upended by COVID in 2020. And some say that the changes that are coming are even will make that pale. So this is not to scare anybody. It's because you are front and center and leaders in your own lives and in your own businesses. And we want you at the forefront. So I want to do what I can to outfit you, strengthen you, activate you, get you aligned. So when the changes come, you're not knocked off course, because we need you front and center. That being said, it is such an exciting time to be alive, because for so many of us, these changes are things we felt needed to happen. And we just, 2 years ago, we couldn't imagine how they would have happened. And so hallelujah, praise the whatever that change is here. So let's do this. So I just want to point out a couple of things that we're seeing, or I'm sure you've seen as well, but I think when you put it all together, it's like, that's fascinating what's actually going on in the world. So we got COVID, and we don't need to revisit that one. We all know what that was like. But have you noticed the cyber attacks that are going on? So I have a colleague client who is actually in cybersecurity. So it's been really interesting to talk with her about this. It's earth shattering what's happening. Again, not to scare you, but to prepare you. If you go back to 2020, there was something called the SolarWinds attack. And that's when we think Russia got into our government security, like the Homeland Security and the Security Department, as well as some other government files, as well as Microsoft and some other big, Fortune 10, Fortune 50 companies. And then fast forward, 6 months later, and in the span of a month, we've had the Colonial Pipeline attack, which disrupted the oil pipeline all up and down the East Coast. We've seen gas prices skyrocket. The JBS food service just happened this week, which is incredible. They disrupted, whoever they are, again, they think it's Russia, who knows? And they're getting away with it because it's ransomware, right? So you got to pay these people off. So this is sort of like their trial runs, I'm guessing. Anyway, JBS food service delivers meat and other food products to 100 countries, and that's been disrupted. And then I don't really understand why, but for some reason, Martha's Vineyard, the ferry service got disrupted here on the East Coast. Like, I'm not sure why that's a big target. Maybe somebody was playing and testing. Who knows? We don't know. What we do know is that the world and the security and the infrastructure that we've gotten used to over our lifetimes is shifting. To what? Who knows? Who are the big players? I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that we get you and me as aligned and as strong and as clear as we can. So no matter what's falling down around us, you're good, or you're as good as you could be. And then if we shift over, just one more sort of note about how things are really shifting and changing, the financial services industry. And of course, I know there's folks listening today and on the recording who are in the industry, but the cryptocurrency business, I don't begin to understand. I just know, man, that's coming down the pike in a really big tidal wave kind of way. Not sure what's going to happen there. I'm not sure anybody really does, but that's something that will upend and has already started to upend our tried and true markets that we've always known to be. You're going to have some fluctuation in the markets, but you always know the markets are there. And then the GameStop situation a couple of months back, where some bandits just sort of ran up that stock for fun to see if they could beat the big guys, like a Robin Hood thing. So what this reminds me of is, do you remember September 10th, 2001? everything seemed normal. And then on September 12th, 2001, nothing was normal. That's the tectonic shifting that's happening. And I'm so glad that you are here today, because as we step through some of this information, hopefully activations, things to consider, I'd like you to kind of pop an octave and take the 30,000 foot view of your life and really get thoughtful about what needs to happen next in your world. Where are you hanging on to the old, which it will take you down when it goes down or when it shifts. And so let's get you as clean and aligned as we can. Okay. So there are 4 steps or 4 areas that we work with people, and I constantly do this in my own life, to make sure that I am as tuned up as I can be for what's coming down the pike, so that I am living my most authentic life in the highest vibrational way that I can. You know, this whole series is called the high frequency zone, because it's all about staying in that high vibe state and not dipping down into sort of the 3D, you know, polarization, politicized landscape that is so prevalent. It's fine if you go there and nothing's going to get solved there and nothing new is going to be created there. So if you live your life, if you want to do picket signs or political campaigns, all power to you. Like, it's great there are people doing that. And it is my belief, and the people that I surround myself with, that is not where real change will be affected. It's going to be on this higher vibrational plane. We know everything is energy. We absolutely know that. Anybody who hasn't woken up from behind the rock to realize that, peace and blessings to them. So everything is energy. So you want to be on that highway, that high frequency highway, and operating from that place. So the 4 steps that we move people through have to do with sort of energetic alignment and inward correction. Because as within, so without. What you think about, you bring about. Who you are is what you experience. That's not just a bumper sticker anymore. That's not just some spiritual, woo. That's actually true. So everything we do is all like, this is a great news. Everything we do is about you getting aligned. Like, you have dominion, sovereignty, and power over what happens to you. We don't have, if somebody makes mask mandate, okay, but you really have, I want to empower you to take the reins and know that you can do whatever it is that you are here to do. So the 4 steps, and many of you are familiar with this, and I've talked about these in the past, but I'm trying to codify this a little bit more publicly. We do this in our private groups, but I'm trying to just sort of do as much as I can to the public in general, so that you find something that shifts or transmutes an old habit pattern or whatever it is that's holding you back, keeping you stuck. So the first is your design. You need to know your design, human design or gene keys. Why? Why do I beat this drum? Because this is the age, my friends, of no authority is going to tell you anything that's particularly helpful. I'm just saying, because we don't know what the truth is. I'm not taking sides on any issue, but we don't know what the truth is. We don't know who the authorities are. We don't really know who's running things, and that's okay. We don't need to know, because you have your own inner authority. You have your own inner blueprint, your own inner design, that when you rely on that first and foremost, and then take experts and authorities and suggestions and laws and filter them through who you are, then you're living an authentic, aligned life, and you'll be okay. But if you are farming out all of those big decisions and small ones to some authority out there, that is going to lead to trouble. So that's step 1. And I'm not going to go much further into that, but if you're on this call and you don't know anything about your design, I am going to post a link to my calendar to hop on the line with me, because I want you to know, I want you all to really solidifying these steps. There's other things you can do as well, but we've really taken decades of deep study and practice and codified it into 4 steps. So the first is your design. The second is really tricky because it's managing the mind and the emotions. Now, that might sound easy, But being a human being on this earth plane right now with what's going on, it is so easy to get thrown off the horse with either your mental perseverations or your emotional upheavals. And I'm the best like candidate to talk about this stuff because I'm a drama queen. And most of you know, I had a big like rupture this year. And I caught myself just last week starting to spin into that emotional mental cycle. I mean, we do it every day, and some chapters of our lives are more dramatic than others. But just to give you an example, I realized that, oh, it's June. So this is the season. This is where my mind and my emotions led me. This is the season of loss. So I start to spin this. You know, I'm in marketing and sales, right? So I like really spinning a good story. This is my season of loss because my father passed away a year ago on Tuesday. And I'd had a very intimate relationship with him, appropriate, but intimate relationship with him for the final 10 years. And then shortly thereafter, like within 5 weeks, I lost my partner, my sort of life romantic partner. So just a few days ago, I started going, oh, this is my season of loss, my dad, my partner, my life vision. You know, I really need to kind of like honor that and kind of, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I went, wait a minute. I don't want a season of loss. If what I think about and what I feel I create, then why am I creating more loss? And why am I creating more sadness? Why don't I just honor what I'm feeling, process it, transmute it, and move on with my life? Because it was hard enough a year ago. Why do I want to relive a season of loss? And so that's just an example of what I do daily, whether it's a big thing or a small thing. I got annoyed with somebody in my business recently, somebody who's, you know, an important part of our business. And I started spinning and I was like, wait a minute, practice what you preach. And so I dialed it back and handled the mind and the emotions. Again, I'm not going to get too far down the rabbit hole of how we do that, but it is key because I know you've heard me say this, the mental perseverations, obsessions, conversations, I should have said this, and the emotional ups and downs. It's like the drunken sailors have taken up residence in your psyche, in your body, and they like throw a party, they leave you hungover, and you're not living your authentic life when those folks, those guys, those entities, whatever you want to call them, are in the driver's seat. So do what you need to do to manage the mind and the emotions. Our culture, my culture, I think most people who are listening to this, we've not been taught how to do this. We've been taught meditation. Okay, but that doesn't really help when you're like spinning or when you're in an upset, or we've been taught to move our bodies, which is great. But there are very elegant ways to process tough stuff where you honor it, but you don't pitch a tent. And you take that life energy that's so juicy and so important, and you transmute it so you can use it as your life force energy to build anew. It takes practice, takes consciousness and awareness, but it's worth it. What you'll realize is most people are stuck. Well, most people don't know who they are by design, and they're stuck in the ping-ponging between mind and emotions. So they never actually live a full authentic life. They're never really activated in their full purpose, moving forward in the world with ease and grace and flow. So that's number 2. I'm going to jump to the 4th one because we're going to focus on the 3rd one. The 4th one is to let go, let go, let go, let go, release, release, let go, let go, let go. You know what you need to let go of. It might be physical stuff. It might be patterns and habits. It might be people. You must let go. This is the time to clean up and streamline and have only the essentials and then whatever you need to feel good. And by that, I mean both physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So we do a lot with people, helping them just let go of either old patterns or people, or not let it go of people, but process, you know, this, when people move on, because when you're living in the past, you're creating it in your future, because you are a beautifully creative being. And what are you creating? If you're focusing on something that was, or that isn't tied up, or that is still like a, you know, sandbag on your leg, then you're just bringing that into your future. I love Esther Hicks, who says, today is a result of yesterday's thoughts, and tomorrow is a result of today's. So in other words, whatever you're packing is what you're creating. So you got to get clean. You've heard me talk many times about how for high frequency highway, where I don't get out of bed unless I have processed anything that's like, you wake up with thorns in your side, or you wake up hungover, metaphorically speaking. And so why get out of bed? Because you're just carrying that stuff with you, and you're a creative being. We're always creating with our thoughts and our emotions and our energies. So let go. So my quick prompt on that for you is, you know what you need to let go of. What's holding you back? What do you need to do to just get it to its next step? Sometimes it's, you just need to block off time in your calendar to go through that garage. And sometimes it's, oh, I really need to get some support on letting go of that relationship or that tough situation that happened, or what have you. So you know what it means. And my invitation to you is, write it down, make an intention, and clear the space. We're just trying to clear the space, because there's going to be so much opportunity for those of you who are ready for what's coming. Because as things fall away, new stuff wants to come up. But if you've still got all this old stuff holding you back, there's no space. So clean yourself up. So the third step that I'm going to drill down on is this concept of conditioning and deconditioning, which is kind of a loaded word. So I want to explain that a little bit. Essentially, as we grow up, we are energetically and through society conditioned in many, many ways. So what that looks like is, let's say, I'll start with the energetic. If you know your design, and even if you don't, you know that you walk into a room and there's some people who lift you up and there's some people who bring you down. Or you go to a certain, like if you put me in a mall, it's just not my space, but you put me on a boat in the water, I'm more relaxed. So we all know that energetic conditioning is happening all the time. And so recognize that you have dominion, control, if you will, over what you let in and what you need to get rid of, whether or not you know about your design or not. If you know about your design, you know the open spaces, you're a sponge and you're amplifying, you're absorbing, you're reflecting back. If you don't know about it, it doesn't matter. You know how it feels. And this is in your body. So we have walked through the world. Just go outside or be in your home with other people, and you can feel when you are thrown off. And especially if you get hooked into headlines or debates or what have you, then all of a sudden, it's like something else is kind of swirling and has kind of infiltrated your peace and poise. And your state determines your fate. So again, it's just so important you don't have to block people out. You don't have to remove yourself and not function in the world and not move through the world in a normal way. I love the phrase that the best defense is a strong offense. So you can just have stuff roll off you instead of take you down. And the more you know about your design, this goes back to step one, the more you know about your design, the easier it is to just let things roll off, because you start to understand who you are and how you move through the world, not how your mom did or your sister did or your friend does or your boyfriend does, whatever. So but just recognize that you're always being worked on, and energetically, and have I don't want to say self-respect, but you have permission to say, nope, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. Sisters, claim it. Nobody has the right to steal your power. Nobody, and they're not even doing it intentionally. So as we know, we train people how to treat us, right? So we offer up our energetic existence to the world, and it's not the world or your spouse's job to make sure you're taken care of energetically. It's your job. And so this deconditioning that I'm talking about, you know what you need when you do that. It's usually a very physical experience, because it's energy that's coming in and going out. So do what you need to do to take care of your physical body, your physical presence. This is a time where you probably need more rest. you're taking in a lot. This is a time when you probably need perhaps more alone time or more really juicy, intimate time with those things that feed you, whether it's nature or a partner or a puppy or what have you. This is a time where the stronger you are energetically and the more you can not block out, but mitigate the crazy that's coming in, that will only benefit you. In general, in life, that benefits you, but especially right now. So, yeah. So that's the energetic interplay that happens, that I give you permission to say no. and you have to know your body in order for this to be effective. You have to be able to feel when things are off. You have to be able to feel when stuff's coming in that isn't quite right. And when things do feel good. Sometimes what happens is we get so excited by something that feels good, we actually get off center. So whether it's good or bad, what we're looking for is neutrality and peace and poise and balance and anchoring and strength, so that whether it's good or bad, you're doing you got you. And it's not detachment, it's alignment. It's real alignment. These are very subtle, highly attuned practices and suggestions I'm making. But if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about and you can do it. You see, my groups are small because my message is not for everybody. And I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. My conditioning, by the way, years ago told me I needed to be, serving thousands of people and have hundreds of people in my audiences and programs. And that wasn't right for me. So I've learned the hard way to just me do me, you do you. The other part of conditioning that is really worth peeling back a layer to is the societal, we call it. What is the world telling you you should do or shouldn't do? Now, I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to get into the vaccination debate. I don't really care what you've chosen to do, vax or no vax. What I care about is are you thoughtful? Are you in alignment? Are you asking your inner wisdom, is it right for you? Whether it's a vaccination or if you should go get this job or you should, whatever the shoulds are you testing it against what's right for you? And then standing firm in that knowing. So with the vaccinations, what I find fascinating, just from a higher perspective, not from a personal opinion perspective, because my personal opinion does not matter to you. Your personal opinion is not of my concern. But what's interesting is to look at how conditioned we are around the vaccination. It's so fascinating, where to the point, as you know, we can get free donuts, we can get free beer, we can get free entry to ball games, and now we can get free money. Like pharmacies are offering $1 million lotteries for, if you get the vaccination. And I don't have an opinion. I just think it's fascinating how conditioning is always at play. And in this situation, it's exaggerated. Conditioning has happened since the day we were born. Some say even in the womb. So this is nothing new. It's just sort of it's almost like a cartoon right now. Like, wow, what's going to happen next? So that's all I need to say about that. And I mentioned it, not to get political, but to point out, like, wow, isn't that fascinating? And so where do you stand in all of that? Another example is it's funny, I was recently with family with some 20 and 30-ish year olds. And I found it fascinating that they were experiencing what I experienced at their age, which is I've done everything I was told to do. I personally was straight A student, valedictorian, Ivy League college, got married, got the house. And all those things were good and I did them because I was supposed to. And I generally enjoy what I do. So it wasn't like torture. And I still wasn't happy. I still wasn't fulfilled. I remember that moment, like, wait, I just did everything on the list, check, 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 that I've been groomed to do. And how come it's not fulfilling? Now I'm watching some younger family members go through the same thing. And so this is conditioning. And so if you don't know who you are, and I'm still, a lot of us, we joke like, what am I going to be when I grow up? And so it's never too late to figure that out. Knowing your design helps. Deconditioning from what the world tells you should do helps. Letting go of things help. So there's lots of ways to get there. Managing the mind and emotion helps. And I just want you to choose your life, for you to figure out what you're here to do, not what somebody says you should be doing. This comes in every category. If you're a business, the experts, they tell you exactly how you should run your business. And I've been one of those experts. And we don't throw the baby out with bathwater, because there are some good tips and tools to use. But if you're just like consuming someone else's information and advice without getting clear on what's in here, and like, you come first and then you pick and choose what's going to work for you. It's not outside in, it's inside out. The whole theme of this is inside out, whether it's your design or managing your emotions or deconditioning, or releasing stuff. It's all inner. It's not even inner game. It's inner alignment stuff. So the title of this is Money, Sex, and Love Revolution, right? Money, Love, and Sex Revolution, Evolution. So how do we use this, what I just laid out, in those categories? So I'm just going to run through a couple of ideas, because those categories are shifting, just like healthcare is shifting and the financials, the markets are shifting. But in your personal world, how do you navigate things shaking loose using kind of the methodologies I've described? I know this sounds a little complicated, so let me try and simplify it. So when it comes to money, well, we could keep doing what we've always done. And I am no expert on what you should be doing with your money. I just want you to be thoughtful about it. So when it comes to money, are you following rules and systems? If we use this third step I'm talking about with deconditioning, are you using rules and systems and expert advice that you used 20 years ago? Okay, you might want to look at that. Just get curious. You don't even have to like do anything or make dramatic moves. Just get curious, get conscious, wake up and assess if that still feels in alignment with who you are. If it does, great. I just mentioned business. So if you have a business and you want to make money, are you still using old systems and formulas that used to work, and you're trying to serve up the same old slop? I go through this all the time because I'm in internet marketing. And I've said many times, I really wish I was someone who could just keep using the same old formulas, because some of my colleagues are doing it and I guess it's working for them, but I just can't do it. And so I have to give myself permission to just fly my freak flag, do what feels good, and plan. I'm not saying, stare at your navel and just, hope and sit and chant all day and hope things work out. Of course not. But I need to get mindful of what feels good to me. So this is a little bit of I'll get into that. So money and business, are you using anachronistic formulas, advice, systems, processes? What needs updating? What still works? Like, I'm really grateful there's still Zoom. I'm really grateful there's still email marketing. I'm not going to throw everything out, and I'm not going to do it the old way because it doesn't feel good. So this leads to my next thing, which is about relationships, love, and sex. If it doesn't, and anything in life really, and I can't believe this comes out of my mouth because I wasn't raised this way at all. I'm a New England WASP and with Midwestern parents. So for me to say the following is like blasphemy. But if it doesn't feel good, then it's not meant to be. If it doesn't feel good in your bones. Now, this is hard to determine sometimes. Like, what am I hearing? Is it my head? Is it my intuition? Is it my instinct? So you have to get very ninja about your system. And that's, there's, again, we lead people through processes to help them get clear on where are you in all of this madness, and where is, this deconditioning you have to get rid of. But one straight way to do it is just, how does it feel? And when I was raised, feelings didn't matter. They were like second-class citizens. And there's a difference between an emotional wave or an emotional upset. And I'm not talking about that. That's the stuff you have to manage. This stuff is very nuanced. You want to manage emotions and not let them run you down pathways that are not good for you. But feeling, I'm talking about knowing, like hits, like, yeah, like inner wisdom stuff. That's your guide when it comes to anything, but especially relationships and who you surround yourself with, whether it's, love, sex, what have you. And watch when you pop in your head in situations. I mentioned on the last one we did last month that if you look at the whole gender identity thing, which for people in my age bracket is like, what are these kids doing? How many check boxes are there? Just get curious and just watch, because there's a lot of transformation going on. What's happening is our DNA, our constitution, our cellular makeup is also shifting as the world is shifting. So your lighthouse, your GPS is this inner signals, or these inner signals. Many people don't have a relationship to their bodies. It's going to be harder. So in this transition, the more you can do to ground yourself in your body, because that's where your wisdom is. That's where your bat signal is. It's not out there. It's in here. So anything that doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. But again, you have to be able to discern, am I having a reaction to something? Am I using old conditioning, or is this my authentic knowing? And because that will never steer you wrong, never steer you wrong. It amazes me. I've spoken for 34 minutes straight. So I'm going to take a breath. Thank you for letting me just pour that out. I've got my notes. I'm like, this is what needs to come through today. Let me just pause for a minute and have everybody just take a breath and ground into your being. And if you like, you can sort of connect to the sisterhood energetically, whether you're listening to this on recording or you're here present live. And I want you to feel like, let's kind of do a grounding feeling moment. I want you to feel the energy transmission. I want you to feel in your body the energy systems that are always there and are here to guide you and lead you. And so all of the talking I've done the last 30 minutes is all about handling the madness, getting rid of that, so that constant highway of energy and wisdom and knowledge and connection is your guiding force. So yeah, you got this. Like, you got this. There's no reason this next phase in our society can't be your best chapter. And it takes watchfulness, and it takes commitment, and it takes intention. So that is the most important work there is to do. Money, business, relationships, sex, love, as it shifts, if you have your ship tight, you will ride out the storms for sure. So just to recap, ways to batten down the hatches. Know your design, number one, and rely on that. Handle your mind and emotions. It's bigger than it sounds, but know that you are not your mind or your emotions. You're something ineffable within that. Decondition societal dictates, as well as energetic conditioning that comes in, and let go of the old, because it doesn't really serve you anymore. So that is my prescription, my suggestion. I'll take a pause and see if, does anybody have any questions or comments? I see there's something in the chat. I can't walk and chew gum, so. Oh, that's fine, certainly. Annalene, does anybody have questions or comments? You just unmute yourself. And if not, we can just have a moment or two of connection. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this. You know, right now, that area, that thing, that person. Thanks, Barbara. You know what that is, that next layer that wants to be peeled and handled. And so, what's it going to take? What's holding you back? What are you afraid of? What do you need? Because let's move you past it. Your life is here to be this bright beacon for everyone around you, and you're ready. So, and reach out if you need help. If you don't know what it is, or you know what it is and you need support, reach out on Facebook, contact me through email. That's what we're here for. So, okay. So that is what I had for today. A few more minutes if anybody wants to sit and chat. Otherwise, I know you're going to have a glorious summer, a glorious month. And I want to hear how it goes for everybody, like what's happening. In addition to the outer stuff, like grandbabies and trips and things like that, I want to know what's happening on your inner world. And yeah. So peace and blessings to you all. Thank you. And I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.